Good morning.
About the act that was sent into by the president recently.
Yes.
About trying civilians and military class.
True.
You say this is a good move. How bad is this act?
Well, as far as I am concerned, if there is a problem with the ordinary courts, strengthen the courts, address the mischief in the courts, repair what is wrong, empower the judicial officers there, further training, further equipment, further IT resources, but setting up a parallel court presided over by the military does not cure the problem, and it will not significantly resolve the issues that are there. If there are indeed civilians who have committed offenses or conducted themselves in a way which seem to touch on military ordinance or equipment, then the High Court, the Judicial Act can be amended and you create a division dealing with military offenses under the judicial arm of government. But this is now, you are enacting a law under the executive arm of government to exercise a judicial function. What's happening to our separation of powers? It does not make sense to me. There has been some kind of justification. I've seen somebody wrote over the weekend, I think a legal officer at the NRM, saying that what is being done is basically implementing some directives which the Chief Justice gave in that Kasirye case. But I think the Chief Justice has been misinterpreted or taken out of context. Basically what the Chief Justice said, empower, create a division of to address military law and military offenses. That's how I understood that part of the judgment. He did not say go back and just cure, because what seems to be done in this law is to have judicial officers to the court martials go through the JSC, yes, but are they judicial officers for life? No. Do they have the independence and immunity given to judges under the Constitution? No. So what have they really done? I really don't see what they have cured. It's some kind of window dressing.
I see that these courts are going to be helping out with ease backlog in the courts. And this is something that these courts are really coming to.
They cannot cure it. I was part of legal training for many years at LDC, and many of the judicial officers sitting today, I was their teacher in LDC. We have enough lawyers today. When I was at LDC, there were less than 200 lawyers coming out. Today you have so many lawyers from different law institutions. So we have the capacity, the human resources available for you to expand the civil courts. Expand the civil courts and let the civil court deal with backlog. There was also a practice, which I remember Justice Sodoki did not like, of appointing acting judges. I've seen they've disguised that in a new way now, appointing acting judges. But you can have some senior lawyers like myself. The senior lawyers, Barnabas Tumzinyuze, Didas Nkurunziza, Professor Sempe were more senior than all of us. Call us and we have a session and we clear a backlog, right? We do a temporary, we do a program and we help to clear the backlog. But giving jurisdiction to court martials will not cure.
So when you say that what the government is doing is not what
Chief Justice.
Chief Justice, advised. Then what could this amount to?
I think that is going to be tested, because the Law Society has filed an action, and I know some senior lawyers, like I mentioned, are preparing a constitutional challenge based on the fact that this law, the amendment, is an infringement on the Constitution. I do not think that absorbing or importing some of the peculiar, some of the remarks made obiter by the Chief Justice made in the Kasirye case, I don't think that will cure the problem of offending the constitutional provision that says you cannot enact a law to reverse or alter what was said in a judgment.
When you say that the government is doing contrary to the judgment, can there be a case or a scenario where the Chief Justice can come out and clarify on his judgment, or it must be clarified through court again?
It has to be clarified through court. I don't think judicial etiquette permits the Chief Justice to come and make commentaries. I think he can only pronounce himself on the legality or constitutionality of what has been done when the matter comes before him. So it would originate from a constitutional court and end up in the Supreme Court on an appeal. So making any remarks now.
In the same ruling that court gave recently, it also advised that cases in these courts, in the court martial, be transferred into the what? To the
Civil courts. Yes.
We only saw one file of Kasirye and being transferred. Other cases have been transferred. Does this mean?
No, I don't know whether I don't have any information about that. But if they have not implemented it, then that is again, it may even amount to a contempt of court. I think the responsible officers in the court martial registry system are obliged, they have a public duty to comply with the orders of the Supreme Court.
So you've made an outcry of the corruption in the judiciary and how it can be fought and be sent to the committee. That's more like
No, I'm writing an essay about that, and I've got some thoughts about it. But recently when I was in India, I saw that they have a judicial oversight committee, which can be formed here by the Judicial Council to look into these allegations, because we're having allegations of corruption, and we're applying a very high standard of criminal law. Has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt, and so on and so forth. And people are walking through and retiring, and now retiring with these very, very generous packages which judicial officers were given under the new package. I think that the Chief Justice needs to be more proactive, and the heads of the respective courts, the Constitutional Court, High Court, taking administrative action against judges, not only for corruption, but even for incompetence. There's a lot of delayed justice. There are these adjournments for eternity. I was mentioning the case of Kazinda. Kazinda's case started about 5 years ago. He appealed to the Supreme Court. It has never been disposed of. So we need a judicial oversight committee to be put in place, and it should be comprised of both members of the public and members of the legal profession to ensure that we have proper judicial standards, to ensure that judges do their job, and those who are suspected of being corrupt are called to account. Just a lifestyle audit of some of these judges, you would wonder. And they have had high lifestyles before this new package. But even with the new package, you can't justify some of the assets and the luxurious lives some of these judges are living.
What would you mention if I thought the lifestyle audits are done? Would you recommend for them to be government property or even sold?
I think there are laws already in place for that, under the law governing the IGG and so on and so forth. Those illicit riches. You don't reinvent the wheel. But that Judicial Oversight Committee would recommend back to JSC disciplinary action against the respective judges. And then if there are those kind of assets confirmed to have been procured by illicit means, then of course they have to be forfeited to the states in accordance with the laws which are administered by the Inspector General of Government.
Snr Counsel, you have been a member of ULS some years ago.
20 years ago.
How do you rate the performance of the current president and its administration?
The circumstances are different, completely different. They say radical new bar. The situations they are facing are very different from what we faced. I think they're doing their best under the circumstances. I don't agree with some of the things and I've discussed this with President Isaac, being rude or abusive towards public offices is not what we are called to do as lawyers in leadership. So to that extent, they need to change their approach. I think they need to be more collaborative with arms of government. Collaborating with government does not mean compromise. Collaborating with government is part of what the Law Society Act says, assisting government, assisting public. So collaboration should not be looked at as compromise.